Ladies and gentlemen, a plane flying several Indian passengers detained near Paris 4 days ago due to suspected human trafficking reportedly left for Mumbai earlier today after a judge cleared their departure. The Nicaragua-bound flight has 303 passengers, mostly Indians, and at least 11 unaccompanied minors. An anonymous tip-off that they were potential victims of human trafficking led to the grounding of this plane at the Vatry airport on its arrival from Dubai for refueling. The prosecutors had yesterday allowed the Airbus A340 to leave France after questioning the passengers for 2 days. The local prosecutor's office has said, in fact, they have also said that a full approval for their departure was expected today. Meanwhile, there has been a tweet from the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian ambassador in France, and they have said that we thank the French government and Vatry airport for quick resolution of the situation, enabling Indian passengers to return home, and hospitality. Also, for working closely with the embassy team present throughout the site to ensure welfare and smooth and safe return. Thanks agencies in India as well. Now, let me very quickly bring in my colleague Nukul, who has been tracking this story very, very closely. Nukul, first of all, are all the passengers been cleared? What is the latest, and by when is this airplane expected to land in Mumbai?
Well, absolutely. The grounded plane which was there carrying over 300 passengers, mostly Indians, to Nicaragua, has been allowed to fly 3 days after French authorities detained it near France over suspected human trafficking. According to the sources, what we are learning as far as the time, at the time which the arrival time of the flight is expected in the midnight in Mumbai, and it's going to be landed in Mumbai. The passenger plane, the Airbus A340, was held at the Vatry airport, 150 kilometers, which is east from Paris, and when it arrived from Dubai for refueling, and after an anonymous tip that was given to the French authorities that it was carrying potential victims of human trafficking. So at the same time, what we are also given to understand that the passengers of this flight were put up at the airport during the investigation, and there were facilities given to them like beds, toilets and showers were also installed. At the same time, what we are also given to understand that we are the Indian authorities, they have been constant in touch with the passengers, and the Indian ambassador to France has also tweeted out and said that thanking the authorities there for giving them the facilities there. While at the same time, the media and outsiders were also being barred from entering this particular airport. So that very little details have emerged from this particular incident. The passengers were questioned for 2 days, and yesterday they were all yesterday it was decided that they'll be let them go to their destinations. They have all set to left for Bombay, and it is what we know so far. But the details of this matter will be confirmed by the authorities here, and we'll wait for that to emerge. While the Indian ambassador, the embassy, they have thanked the French authorities for the incidents and taking them in cahoots.
All right, so the investigations more or less complete, and many of these Indians have been allowed to come back, but we still are waiting for more details to emerge as far as this story is still developing. And by midnight today, many of these passengers will be back on the Indian soil. Nukul, thank you for joining us with all those details. Moving on now, Army Chief General Manoj Pandey is in Poonch in Jammu and Kashmir to review the security situation after recent terrorist attacks on the Indian Army. As the troops are engaged in a massive counter-militancy operation to track the attackers, the brigade commander of the area and 2 other officers have been removed from the command and have been asked to join a formal inquiry into the deaths of 3 civilians, allegedly after being tortured in army custody.
The Army Chief General Manoj Pandey in Rajouri. 4 days after the terror attack in which 4 army soldiers were killed. 9 soldiers, including 2 officers, have been killed in the region in the last month. The chief's visit also comes at a time when a video has emerged of several local people being tortured after they were picked up by the army after the encounter. The army's message in this: there is zero tolerance for attacks on innocent civilians, and those responsible will be punished. As a first step, a brigadier in charge of local operations has been asked to stand down till an inquiry is over. This is a major first step as the army tries to fix accountability for the conduct of anti-terror operations and the way in which 3 civilians were killed. The bodies of the soldiers killed in action were flown back to their villages today. A request from the families. These images of the final rites of one of the soldiers tell a story of profound grief and suffering.
सूचना मिली कि 21 तारीख को मुठभेड़ हुआ था, हम लोग टीवी ऑन थे, लेकिन हमको क्या पता कि जो शहीद हुए हैं तो उसमें मेरा भाई भी एक हैं। अक्टूबर में छुट्टी पड़ी थे और फिर दीपावली के बाद 14 नवंबर को फिर अपना वो वापस गए थे।
किसी तरह पत्नी को फोन आया, करण की पत्नी को, कि आपके पति के पैर में गोली लग गई। इसके बाद लोगों ने खोज खबर शुरू की और 1 घंटे बाद सब डिटेल आने लगा कि नहीं वो शहीद हो गए हैं।
Pir Panjal region in Jammu and Kashmir is becoming biggest security challenge after series of attacks on the army. Death of 3 civilians and injuries to several others allegedly in army custody has complicated the problem. Army chief's visit to Poonch today is a clear message that army at the highest level is directly monitoring the situation, and decision to remove a brigade commander is to send a message that army has zero tolerance for human rights violations. In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
Shifting focus to Chennai now, where a horrible incident in fact has come to light. A woman, techie, has been burnt alive by her classmate. The accused in fact is said to have gone and underwent a sex change operation to marry the woman. Now the incident took place in Chennai's southern suburb. The victim was blindfolded under the guise of a birthday surprise and then was set on fire.
24-year-old Nandini was found on Saturday evening, chained, with cuts on her arms, legs and neck, burnt after dousing her with petrol under Tambaram limits on the outskirts of Chennai. Her school classmate from Madurai, Pandi Maheshwari, who had become Vatry after a sex change operation, has been arrested. Tambaram Police Commissioner Amol Raj told NDTV the two had been close friends and were working with a private IT firm in Chennai for the past 8 months. Vatry was reportedly jealous and enraged that in recent weeks Nandini had become friendly with others. So Vatry had invited Nandini to a pre-birthday surprise and murdered her. Vatry has been arrested. With Suresh in Chennai, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
Staying with South India, in fact, the language controversy is back in Bengaluru, and this is now gaining momentum. While the Kannada activists started threatening, the non-locals, now the municipal corporation has asked all commercial and non-commercial establishments to ensure 60% of their signboards remain in Kannada language within the next 2 months, or else strict action will be taken.
Pride in native language or language chauvinism. Kannada activists were seen recently threatening Marwaris in Bengaluru. Bengaluru's municipal body has now asked all shopkeepers to have nameplates 60% in Kannada. The order was passed in 2018, but the new deadline is by February end.
ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಈ ನಾಮಫಲಕದಲ್ಲಿ 60% ವರೆಗೂ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬಳಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ತಕ್ಷಣ ತಮ್ಮ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿಯೇ ಅದನ್ನು ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನಗೊಳಿಸಿ ನಮಗೆ ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅವರದು ಲೈಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಮಾನತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ರದ್ದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ನವೀಕರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ನವೀಕರಣ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
As of now, most shops in Bengaluru roads have signboards in English. Shopkeepers say they are happy to give Kannada its pride of place.
कन्नड़ा तो कर्नाटका का मेन चीज़ है और उसको रिप्रेजेंट करने में हमारे को शर्म नहीं आना चाहिए, उसको अच्छे से बताना चाहिए वो अच्छी चीज़ है जो कर रहे लोग, हमको अच्छा लगा, हम भी उसका साथ देना चाहते हैं.
Every state has separate their own languages. Almost in Kannada, it's good for Kannadigas. We are encouraging every language also, but Kannada is the first preference for Kannadigas. They must also learn Kannada.
Recently, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah too had advocated Kannada.
The language war is not new to Karnataka. We have seen Kannada activists fighting for Kannada name boards at railway stations. Now we see it outside shops. The Bengaluru civic body has decided to implement its 2018 order of a 60-40 ratio. Will stringent implementation of this order bring about a permanent end to the tussle? With camera person Govind Pratibaraman in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Meanwhile, in fact, in Madhya Pradesh, there has been a cabinet expansion. Mohan Yadav has inducted 28 ministers into his cabinet and has kept a sharp focus on the caste dynamics ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. 20 out of 28, 12 are OBCs. There have been senior faces of the Bharatiya Janata Party. One union minister who will now become a minister in the government of Madhya Pradesh, that is Pradhat Patel. Kailash Vijayvargiya, who is a 7-time MLA, a senior, in fact, leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party, has also been given charge. He will also be a cabinet minister. Amritanshi, my colleague, joining us with more details on this. Amritanshi, 28 ministers, 12 OBCs, 5 women. A lot of, close supporters of Jyotiraditya Scindia have also found their way in as far as the cabinet of Mohan Yadav is concerned. How is it different from what we saw previously with Shivraj Singh Chauhan? What are the new features?
Yeah, totally, Ankit. Around 12 ministers who were in Shivraj cabinet have not been repeated, especially in the Mohan Yadav's cabinet. Today at 3:30 p.m. the cabinet expansion happened in the Raj Bhavan, and this is the first cabinet expansion. Around 28 ministers sworn as for the position of ministers. 28 MLAs sworn for the position of ministers, and 18 sworn as the cabinet ministers of Madhya Pradesh, and rest were with independent charge, and the state ministers of Madhya Pradesh. If you talk about like 5 ministers, like 5 MLAs who sworn as ministers are from the Scindia group, especially. Some political leaders have lost their elections right now in this 2023 assembly elections. That's why they have not been repeated. And 5 names, if we talk about, like Pradyuman Singh Tomar, Govind Singh Rajput, Tulsi Silawat, have again given importance in this cabinet expansion. Apart from this, the portfolios of the ministers have not been decided yet. In the coming few days, maybe the portfolios will be given to the newly sworn ministers of Madhya Pradesh. Also, a very cost-effective formula in keeping an eye for the Lok Sabha, especially. BJP has gone for the cost-effective formula and also the division-wise formula in Madhya Pradesh, especially because there are 10 divisions in Madhya Pradesh: Bundelkhand, Gwalior and Chambal, Malwa and Nimad. There are 10 divisions. From every division and from every district of Madhya Pradesh, one minister have been given, right. And then they have soon, but the portfolios of them will be decided very soon.
Sure.
Ankit?
Thank you for joining us with all those details. So portfolios are yet to be allocated, but at least Madhya Pradesh now has a government, a full cabinet. We are waiting for the similar exercise in Rajasthan as well, where the Bharatiya Janata Party also won. Now moving on to some business news, a grim one, and that too, in fact, Paytm has laid off hundreds of its employees and aims to eliminate repetitive tasks and roles in phases as the company is in midst of cost-cutting drive due to implementation of AI automation. My colleague Sakshi Bajaj has more.
Fintech major Paytm's parent company, 197 Communications, has laid off hundreds of employees. Now the layoffs are across operations, sales and engineering teams and were on the horizon due to the implementation of AI automation and have been happening in phases. This essentially is also part of Paytm's move to reduce costs and eliminate repetitive tasks and roles, and the move is aimed at realigning focus areas for the fintech company. Now a Paytm spokesperson told NDTV with this move they will be able to save 10 to 15% in employee costs, as AI has delivered more than they expected it to. Now remember, in 2021, Paytm fired 500 to 700 employees based on non-performance, and the company on December 7th announced plans to slow down its small-ticket postpaid loans while it aims to expand its high-ticket personal loans and merchant loans. Now this decision has not gone well with brokerages, prompting them to cut their revenue estimates for Paytm.
Meanwhile, Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, joined in caroling at Christmas event in the Supreme Court. It's Christmas cheers, ladies and gentlemen, all across the country. The Chief Justice of India also lauded the armed forces and paid tributes to the 4 Indian Army soldiers who lost their lives in the ambush by terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir, Punch, last week. Well, it's Christmas cheer, so a Merry Christmas to all our viewers at NDTV. And in fact, across the country, it is being celebrated with a lot of joy. There is decor, delightful music and delicious food.